Maasai Mara Mystery, the bloody life of a lion pride. Across the scorching savanna, where the air trembles from heat, a pride of lions continues to guard a territory built through strength and instinct. The question remains in this harsh land, is that bloodline still resilient enough to survive? Maasai Mara is a place where the struggle for survival never pauses. During the dry season, the savanna appears like a silent field of fire. The August sun creates long cracks across the ground. Dry grass moves slightly in the hot wind around acacia trees, stripped of leaves on the high ridge. Under that thin shade rests the red-maned pride. The name comes from the deep red mane of the male that once led them, Merin. The scar-covered body from past battles now remains only in memory, but the influence of Merin continues to shape the pride. The boundaries of the territory, the structure of the pride, and the order he left behind still guide every movement. Around him are more than 15 adult lionesses, led by Naya, an experienced hunter and mother of most of the cubs. When dawn rises, the mist slowly disperses. At the base of the slope, a herd of zebras appears, their black and white stripes fading in the early light. Instinct activates immediately. The lionesses separate and quietly take their positions. Each step and each breath aligns with the ancient rhythm of the savanna. Patience forms an invisible trap. Accuracy determines the result. Zebras often stand with their backs toward one another to watch all directions, and a single kick can break bones of any predator. However, today, that vigilance fails. In a brief moment, the herd detects movement from the grass. Panic spreads. The ground shakes under the hooves of fleeing zebras. The target is already selected, a slower juvenile at the rear of the group. Yara moves forward first and bites the neck of the prey with a clean and precise grip. When the zebra collapses, she steps aside and leaves space for the pride. Pemba and the other cubs move forward immediately and begin to sniff and touch the fresh meat for the first time in their lives. This moment marks the shift from protection to the reality of survival, where mistakes cannot occur. In nature, there are no written rules. only order that every individual must follow. The red mane pride survives not because of the strength of one lion, but because of the unity of the group. Each lion holds a specific role, and instinct passed through generations allows the pride to function as one system. As long as that order remains, the legacy of Merin continues like a steady flame under the African sun. In the intense midday heat, while the pride rests under the shade, a wind current carries an unfamiliar scent that makes Merin immediately alert. In the distance, two young males approach. They are Rocco and Kano, individuals that previously took territories from other prides by killing all cubs to erase older bloodlines and gain full control. The deep roar of Rocco echoes across the open space as a declaration of confrontation. Merin responds with his own powerful roar as a final warning before a real conflict begins. This moment is no longer a predator encounter. This moment marks the beginning of a succession that can result in bloodshed. In the following days, Rocco and Kano continue to provoke the pride. During the night, they roar to intimidate. During the day, they hide and observe every movement of the pride. Although Merin is old, he does not retreat. He patrols more frequently and leaves tracks along the territorial boundary as a statement that dominance remains with him. Tension increases each day. Naya becomes more cautious. The cubs are hidden more carefully. The pride senses that a major conflict is approaching. On a quiet morning, while mist still covers the savanna like a thin layer, the scent of tension moves with the wind. When the first sunlight reaches the edge of the territory, Rocco emerges from an open area and walks directly toward the center. Behind him, Kano follows with steady steps as if he already expects victory. There is no hiding and no stalking. Today is the day of decision. From the shade, Merin appears and moves forward slowly with determination. He walks directly toward the intruders. This moment is not a display of strength. This moment is the final test for the individual that once defended this land like a guardian. The fight begins in a cloud of dust as roars echo like thunder. Merin, despite his age and weakened strength, continues to fight with sharp instinct and the experience of a seasoned leader. However, the combined force of Rocco and Kano overwhelms him quickly. Under the pale morning light, Merin weakens. He eventually collapses among the dry grass, ending a period marked by fire and years of conflict in which he protected the pride with every remaining ability. Later that afternoon, Rocco kills all of Merin's cubs. This act is a brutal behavior that has existed on the savanna for a long period, where new males remove the traces of older bloodlines to take domination. During the chaos, Pemba, at 2 years of age, quietly moves into the vegetation and escapes to the north. His young claws step on the tracks that his father once made, creating a new route without a known destination and guided only by instinct. After the death of Merin and the killing caused by Rocco, the red mane pride separates. Naya leads the remaining members, including several adult lionesses and 4 to 5 cubs away from the old territory. They travel south toward the Talek River in search of shelter and a source of food. However, the Talek River is not the final boundary. It is only the first challenge. The river level rises after the early seasonal rains. The muddy water hides the motionless eyes of large Nile crocodiles positioned among floating tree trunks. At the same time, massive hippos occupy deeper areas. They are not predators, yet they react with extreme aggression when they feel threatened. Yara steps into the water first. The water level reaches her chest. The cubs follow closely behind their mother and move deeper step by step. A small ripple forms, showing that a crocodile has detected movement. Without needing a signal, the group increases speed immediately. Their instinctive coordination allows them to cross the dangerous water. All individuals reach the opposite bank without being attacked. This time, the boundary between life and death remains unchanged. On the far side of the Talek River, the landscape changes completely. The cracked ground and dry yellow grass are gone. In their place are tall green and moist grasses that indicate the start of the rainy season. This area has minimal scent marks from other lion prides, possibly because it is close to territories used by hyenas and wild dogs. However, for Naya and the surviving lionesses, this area is the only possibility for maintaining stability. On a gray morning, a repetitive sound rises from the west. A herd of approximately 40 wildebeests moves south across the fresh grass after the rain. Their large size and tight formation appear powerful, but this density creates a weakness when a young or injured individual falls behind. This is the opportunity that lions consistently use. Naya and 2 lionesses follow the herd for several hours. A young wildebeest moves out of alignment due to fatigue and lack of experience. It becomes the selected target. The strike occurs quickly. The prey attempts to escape, but cannot outrun the 3 experienced hunters. When the wildebeest falls, one lioness pulls the carcass into nearby vegetation to avoid scavengers. Naya lifts her head and observes the horizon. Vultures begin circling above. Larger scavengers approach from a distance. Fresh meat does not last long on the savanna. The amount of food is enough for the pride to recover for several hours before the next challenge arrives. In the world of lions, situations can shift instantly. Food today means one more day of survival. Recent rainfall has made the northern area of Maasai Mara damp. On the soft ground, an adult male lion moves in silence. Pemba has now reached full maturity. His body is strong and his gaze is steady and controlled. He is no longer the frightened juvenile that escaped during the night his father fell. He now stands as a fully developed adult. Many months of isolation have shaped him. Pemba has learned to hunt alone, to avoid enemies, and to stay alive while moving across territories controlled by other prides. On that morning, the wind brings a familiar scent. It is the scent of Rocco, the male that killed Merin. Pemba stops immediately. Memories return. He does not roar, and he does not signal. He quietly turns and begins the journey back. He does not travel alone. Beside Pemba is Ranu, a young exiled male that is strong and persistent. Both lions move south across tall grass and the areas where the blood of Pemba's father once touched the ground. Rocco remains in that territory, but he is now old. His injuries never healed, and his strength no longer matches his past dominance. His territory has become a reduced version of what it once was. Kano, after a conflict for mating rights with Rocco, was expelled from the pride. Since that moment, no new tracks of Kano have been seen. The encounter is approaching, and this time Pemba does not retreat. When sunset arrives in the old territory, the final light colors the reeds and reflects on the fur of a lion walking alone at the edge of the land. It is Rocco, now solitary. Kano is not present. The lionesses that once followed Rocco have already left. His pride structure has collapsed, leaving only an empty group within the vegetation. Pemba and Ranu observe without movement. Rocco lowers his head to drink from a shallow water pool. At that moment, both Pemba and Ranu charge forward. Rocco attempts to turn and respond, but he is too slow. This fight is not for territory and not for dominance display. This action represents the final outcome of accumulated conflict. When Rocco collapses, Pemba does not remain. He and Ranu leave the old territory and move through acacia trees and flooded grasslands. They continue the journey by following faint scent trails of Naya and the lionesses that fled after the earlier attack. Wind across the savanna carries familiar scents. It carries the scent of the former pride, the scent of meat, and the scent of the strict habits from the period when Merin was alive. 3 days later, in light mist, Pemba stops. Ahead of him, Naya appears among the grass. Her eyes remain the same, but her posture is more restrained and experienced. Behind her are the surviving lionesses and 4 thin cubs with alert eyes. There is no need for calls and no need for vocal communication. Pemba approaches and lightly presses his head against the neck of Naya. This behavior signals acknowledgement and acceptance. Under sunlight passing through clouds, Pemba produces a low roar for the first time in this setting. This vocalization is not a challenge and not a threat. It is an indication of continuity. The identity of the red mane pride has never belonged to a single lion. It represents an entire bloodline. The presence of this pride resumes under the guidance of Pemba and Ranu. In less than 2 rainy seasons, the red mane pride recovers its strength. Pemba and Ranu force a group of wild dogs out of the eastern hills and expand the pride's territory to the edge of the Talek River. Naya and the lionesses raise new cubs, and young males begin to show red-colored manes. The pride does not only survive, the pride returns with confirmed strength. Other adult predators avoid their territory. Wild dogs do not enter their roots. Zebras and antelopes change direction when they hear the roars of the pride. When the sun sets beyond the African horizon, Pemba stands on the highest hill and roars. This behavior is not a display of dominance. It is a reminder that the bloodline of Merin continues to exist and remains present in this environment. The red mane pride once lost everything. Through instinct, strength, and recognition of past generations, the pride has emerged from severe loss and regained stability. This lineage remains active and does not disappear.